Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Guthrie Park Board meeting for Thursday, July 18th. And I'd like to open it for, see if there's any public comments. Got anybody, guys? Nope. And item 3 here is to consider approval of minutes for the May 16th, 2013 Park Board meeting. Did everyone have a chance to look over this? If you did, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And Lori seconded.
Okay.
Plenty of seconds.
Then we have some discussion items. Item 1 is discussion.
You got to vote on it. You got to vote on it.
Oh, to vote to approve, sorry. That's why she's here. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Discussion items, discussion of the park superintendent's report. And I imagine
Since Blue isn't here, I
Maxine's going to,
will just go over it with you.
all right,
Right.
appreciate it.
We just wanted to make you aware that the Liberty Lake Wildlife Grant, that is supposed to be grant, not grand, is, it was course approved, and they are in the preliminary portion of it. They've got the sidewalk poured and the abutment structure poured, and it's ready to be set as soon as it comes from the factory. And the only thing that we have to do is the in-kind labor. And when it comes, then they will put that out there, and it'll be another enhancement for our Liberty Lake.
Great.
So he's very similar to the one that we have at Guthrie Lake.
I'm afraid of the road.
I would like to say that I talked to several people here lately that went to Liberty Lake, and they just talked about what a wonderful time they had.
Yeah,
And
isn't
how
it great?
great the lake was and how nice everything was. So
Good, good.
wanted to share that with the park staff.
And just want to give you a reminder that Saturday, the 20th, is the triathlon event that they're having out at the Guthrie Lake. I think it's supposed to be a pretty good event this year. And I know Damon has worked hard on this, and my park people have worked hard. And I believe they had some help from the county. They had, so the sheriff was able to let some prisoners go out and help, and so it's going to be a big deal.
My husband said, I think there's prisoners out there. They're cleaning up. Good.
Yeah, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's a big help to us. If you will turn to the last page in your packet there, I've got a project status report and then the FY 2014 proposed report for the hotel motel tax, the portion that goes to the parks. And that is not set in stone, but that's where we are at this point in time.
Now,
They-
is the fiscal year from January?
No,
To December.
the fiscal year for 2014 begins October 1
Okay.
and will be completed on September the 30th.
In 2014.
Yes, it goes from October to September.
September.
Yes, we're an odd one. We're with the federal government.
Okay.
But as you can see, we've completed the Highland Park tennis court practice boards. We've completed the repairing and the replacement of the crawl tube in Highland Park. We've done a lot all over the city and the city parks. We've replaced seats and swings. In the Mineral Wells Park, they did some upgrades for the horseshoe pits. They've mended the split rail fencing. Some of that was taken down during the centennial celebration, and they've got that put back.
Okay.
The Highland Park parking, that was done with our street CIP, and that's been completed. We have not done anything on the entrance columns because we have not been able to get anyone to bid on them. So we're going to hold it off till 2014. We'll put a little more money with it. I think we only had $8,000 budgeted in 2013, so we're going to add to that and make it $13,000, and hopefully we can get some bids on that. That's going to be that being sandstone, it's going to take somebody that really knows what they're doing to do it right. So we have not forgot about it. It is on our list to do, and so that's one of the things. The Highland Park Trails Light, we have had Gooch Smith scheduled to do those repairs. I'm not sure exactly, excuse me, tonight where he is on that, but we have had that scheduled.
No, but the covers have been replaced.
Probably. There's probably some electrical
Okay,
that's going to
but
have to be
I had
done.
walked through in the daytime,
Yes.
and all the covers were
Yes,
replaced.
we did that.
So
Mhm.
that was,
And we had some posts that we had to replace. I'm not
Oh,
sure
really?
exactly
Okay.
what they did there, but that's kind of where we are on that. And the Highland Park fountain has been ordered.
is that
And
a
the
fountain?
skate,
Is that a?
it's one just like the one in
Oh, okay,
Mineral Wells
For
Park,
the park?
for the little lake out there.
Why is the one at Mineral Wealth today not, is it the water surely
The
not
water is a
too
little bit low,
again?
yes.
Oh, wow. But we've had so much rain.
Pardon me, the one at Mineral Well?
It's off, it goes off automatically when the level gets a
It's
little
on
bit low.
today.
Well, it's not on now, unless,
Oh, really?
I just came from there.
Well, I was there a couple
Yeah.
hours ago and it was on.
Yeah,
Okay.
See, I was out
when I
long
passed
before
by,
that, then to it, and it was off. And now you say it was on, and now you
Well,
say
it was,
it's off
it was
again.
on at some point.
when I passed by at 5 o'clock, I went out to Walmart and it was off.
It's not on now. when
No,
I
it's
came
not, I
through.
didn't think so.
Oh, wow.
And then we've got the skateboard park event ordered. So we'll be having some new things going in. The projects that we have scheduled for 2014 funding, the biggest one is the rehab of the swimming pool mechanical room. That's a huge,
Is that the filters and all that?
that's
That's the stuff that
everything.
keeps breaking down.
That's the stuff that keeps breaking down, that's so old and so in need of replacement.
Okay.
So at this point in time, and this is based on the quotes that we got this summer, and then I increased it by about, 5 or 6%. So we've scheduled $28,000 for that. Hopefully, we can do that during the winter and or the early spring before the pool opens, or, is scheduled to open, and we can get that done during our downtime this year. And of course, the Highland Park entrance columns, and then Liberty Lake improvements. I'm sorry that Officer Gibbs isn't here. He's got a little better handle on what we're going to do out at Liberty Lake, and it's got some great ideas. We have had an overflowing of people using the lake since it was open for swimming and skiing and that sort of thing, and apparently they're just loving it. So we've got some things that we need to do. The house out there is a possibility of maybe doing some restructuring, remodeling to make it work for maybe some restroom showers. We're not sure, but we've just kind of got that in the works and looking at it, because we've got to do something in that respect. And he's got really good ideas. So that's kind of where we are on the Liberty Lake improvements. And that so far is the amount of money that we'll be able to spend next year. Any questions?
Something that, in reference to the entrance columns at the
Uh-huh.
park, and I certainly don't know how much a difference it would make in cost, but I'd come across a picture, and at our last meeting, I handed this out. I don't think she was here, but this is a photograph of the entrance to Highland Park. Imagine what would that be, the 20s?
Probably.
And you see those,
How nice it looks.
yeah, and you also see the concrete balls on
Yeah,
top of
the-
that.
uh-huh.
Well, I was in St. Louis.
Finials.
What are they called?
Finials.
Finials.
Yes.
Well, I was in St. Louis 2 weeks ago, and I went to several parks, and as you can see, they're full of finials
Oh, yeah. Oh,
everywhere. And then there were some, almost every park that I went to, and I didn't know if that was something that we could look into, because it would certainly be nice to take that back to what it looked like in the 20s.
May I have this?
Yes, you
And
may.
I will put this with
And not
our-
only that, if it was something that was cost prohibitive, it might be something that we could get some community people involved in.
That would be nice.
To make it, historically
Yeah, correct.
accurate again. It could be sort of exciting.
That's nice. Yes. I had seen a picture similar to
Yeah,
this some
postcard.
time ago. Yes. Uh-huh.
Actually,
Joe, can you show that to the people at home, right there in your shop?
yes, how can I do that?
Can you just look up at the monitor
Oh, look at how
there,
close it is.
And put it in the monitor there.
Oh,
It's
do I
right
need
here
to
on
walk
my-
over there?
No, it's right
No,
here
no,
on my
you
chest.
can-
This way. This way.
Oh,
There
I
you
see,
go.
I see, I see,
Okay.
I see, I
There it
see.
is. Oops,
Help me.
The other way.
down.
Up there, watch your screen up there. Keep
Watch your
looking
screen.
I can't really see
Go to your left, down,
because of
Down.
the camera.
down, left.
Down,
I think
left,
it's to the
Down.
right.
to the
Right,
right.
right, oops.
No, the other way.
You went
The other
to-
way.
oh,
Here, you do
Okay.
it. I can't see. The camera's in front of the
There,
monitor.
yeah, and she's right, yeah, she's
There
right
you
there.
Oh,
There you go.
good
Yeah.
job.
Yes.
That's what I was talking about, everybody.
Yes. Those
The finials.
finials
Thank
on
you.
the top. Very nice.
But that's how and you can actually see the Model T or Model A
Right.
in the
That's cool.
entrance there. You can also see how much the trees have grown over the years, because you can see for miles.
Right. Uh-huh.
So that might be something we could look into.
Very good. We can do that.
All right. Maxine, thank you.
You're very welcome.
The next item for discussion is discussion of painting the wall at the water treatment plant and Mineral Wells Park. This is an item that was put on here. I know that most of the board members know that we have been approached. There he is.
There he is.
Should we have him talk about Liberty Lake? Or can we go
Well,
back?
we can go back.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go back to that.
But
This is just
on further
discussion
discussion
items.
on the wall, we were approached about a mural on that wall, and of course, the board, we talked about the
Yes.
difficulties of having something like that done.
May I say
Yeah,
something?
you may.
On painting
Yeah.
the wall, you have to remember that once you put a coat of paint on that, it has got to be kept up or it will look awful. It's better to leave it like it is, plain concrete, and maybe grow some vines or something else like that on it, or, than to paint that wall. First, the city doesn't have the resources to keep that wall painted. Because once it's painted, you will have to go back at least every 2 years and take
And
care of
paint
it.
it.
So you need to
And I
think,
actually put this item up for discussion because
yeah,
partly what I'd been hearing from different people was that the wall is ugly now, and they want something attractive there. And of course, when I put this down, I was just thinking about painting it brick colored or something,
Yeah.
like to match the building, or like
and
the,
that would be pretty if it was kept up. But once you let that paint start peeling and washing off, and It'll be much more ugly than it is now.
And I don't know if that would be something that we could talk to the community garden people about at some point.
Well, the main one is here.
Well, it was just up for discussion, but I mean, we're just trying to come up with a idea to, yes, sir, please.
Thank you, Joe. One of the deals about that wall is that in spots all through it, it leaks. Water seeps through, particularly the lower you go, but in some cases is up top. And anywhere that's painted, that's going to wear off and bubble up and peel a whole lot quicker. The wall in itself, being a cement wall, unless it's prepped real good and becomes waterproof, and then now you got to worry about that water behind it, what's it going to do, because
Right.
there's so much back there. And be it historical or be it like we were wanting to put vegetables and plants and stuff up there, it was some way to try and make it look prettier, even if it was if we could have a sign made out of wood and have that hanging from the top, Guthrie Community Garden, Guthrie whatever, that might be the way to do it and not have to paint that wall. But it would, just from being down there,
Yes, it would.
it would require extensive upkeep on that wall.
Right.
So if there was some kind of lettering that could be done and hung from over the top edge of that wall, that'd be a lot easier to handle.
Yes, it would.
And then it could be big enough, because to see that from the road, you need 6-8-foot letters. Anything you draw on there needs to be.
Well, no,
6 or 8.
and I will tell you then, in some of our discussions, part of the concern that we had was with, for one, the park is one of the oldest parks in Oklahoma. Anything on that wall will be visible from the pavilion, the tennis courts.
Yeah.
That's also part of the historical district. The park is, including the community garden and the water treatment building. So any lettering, anything is going to have to be historically accurate. And if you start making something 6 to 8 feet tall, then you're talking about something that is going to have a really, a real prominent effect on the integrity of the architecture and the look of the park. So we've got to be careful not to have something that's, we're not really, when people get married in the pavilion, they're not necessarily going to want to, behind them as they're walking up the aisle, to have something, a big billboard that says community garden, perhaps.
But just, if nothing else, just the word Guthrie up there might be nice to have that.
Right.
Up there. It doesn't have to have that other. It'd be nice to have it up there to
Right.
advertise what's up there. But at the same time, just,
I was thinking too that, with the problem of the water coming through, anything that's on that wall that's painting or wood or whatever is going to get messed up.
Right.
However, with your wonderful gift of growing, it seems to me that the most natural thing to do would be to plant trees that are going to come up and
and
That's what
again, with the contract with the city, no trees on that side of it, anywhere along there, no trees. And if I put vines or something like got put on the other side, that means we cannot plant any vegetables in there. And right now, we've got 100 tomato plants, 100 zucchini plants, and okra along that wall that are growing. So if we put a vining plant in there, then that keeps us out of that one whole area to grow vegetables. So, and the vining crop, they're going to dig right into that cement eventually, particularly where it seeps through, and they're going to eat that cement away. And in 10 years, now you got to refix the cement. So you got to be careful of that. Lettering would have to be braced away from the wall, not set on it. So that would just be something to look at. But to paint it, you're right. Once you seal it, you're going to have to keep sealing it. And whatever you put on it, be stagecoaches or whatever, you're going to have to go in there every couple of years and redo it, and that's not cheap.
What
No,
about
no, no.
a metal sculpture, even if it was the word Guthrie in metal?
Again, if it was hung over the top and braced away, about an inch away from the cement, that would be fine. But again, we've talked something metal, depending on how big you're going to make it, unless you've got some real good contacts, that's not cheap, and it's heavy. That metal would be awful heavy.
Yeah.
And wood in the rain and the snow would deteriorate a little
Yeah,
bit quicker
yeah.
Well, and
unless
I
you seal
don't-
it properly.
Of course, the question too is that if you put wording on the wall, are you going to end up drawing more attention to it to begin with?
Yeah.
Signage like, the sign when you come into Guthrie and it says, "Welcome to Historic Guthrie," right on the corner of Harrison and Cleveland. A sign like that as an entrance to the community garden or something that, sort of complements the pavilion and the age and the style of the park, like community garden. Surely there's something that we can come up with.
I had really hoped to, we have some people in the Master Gardener program who are welders,
Right.
or one that is. And I had talked to him before about doing an arbor, an archway with Guthrie Community Garden.
As an
on
entrance to
as
the
an
park,
entrance.
that would be neat.
And depending on where you wanted to put it, the little parking lot that the city made for us is on the west end, and it could go right over that brick pathway, or it could be right there in front. There's nothing in front of the old.
Well, it would be nice to have one in the front and the back.
See, there's where if we had a sign up there to advertise what it was, and it looked historical, that might be nice too.
Yeah, it needs to, we don't want to put anything next to that old water treatment building that doesn't look like it's
Belong.
cohesive
Right.
with and like I said, that being that may very well be the oldest park in the state of Oklahoma.
Right.
And we don't want to do anything that takes away from, I know that when they put the new, playground equipment in, they were very particular about not having bright reds and purples and greens and yellows. They used the muted
Yes.
greens and beiges so that
We still are careful.
yeah. And two, it would be my understanding that any major change down there, like a big sign or something, would have to go to the Historical Society as well as the Park Board because it's in the historic district, so,
A lot of people would have to approve it.
yeah.
For that purpose, the community garden has set aside.
But a cool archway or a cool arch and a sign out in front on Division that matched the water
Right.
treatment building.
Anything like that to draw a little attention, let people know what's out there.
Yeah.
But again, community garden's got $250 set aside to contribute to whatever to help get that done. And so however it can be, if there's anything that can be done, we'll.
And I know
help
that
with.
we had we had a couple of those signs in Mineral Wealth Park that were taken out, but I don't know that they were saved, that are just like the ones that were.
You might want to visit with Renee a little bit.
Yeah.
Renee has been working on entrance signs and things like that. And Renee is very good at visualizing things like that.
Right.
And,
Yeah, well, I certainly wouldn't mind visiting with her.
so that's something.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mayor.
I think that's enough discussion on that. We can move to.
Well, you just want us to pursue
Yeah, we'll
ideas
just-
and,
yeah,
okay.
ideas of some kind of signage that complements the park and helps the garden. Item number 3 for discussion was discussion of the horse riding trails at Liberty Lake and volunteer riders providing maintenance. Now, we have her name that was here last time asking about that.
I wasn't here, so I don't know what that discussion was, but
we have-
Officer Gibbs is in here now, and maybe he can enlighten us a little bit and then give you some more information on what we're doing out at Liberty Lake and
Yes.
how busy he's been out there.
Good evening. The lady's name that, I don't recall that either. I
Yeah,
had
I'm
an
trying to
email from
find
her.
it here
It's in here.
in the minute.
Julie Cameron.
Yes,
believe
Julie
that's it.
Cameron. And she provided us with some information on some of the different parks that this equestrian Club helps maintain. She was really just wanting permission to, maybe trim back some limbs or, just volunteer their services. And of course, it wasn't on our agenda, so we tabled it. And it doesn't look like we're here to consider it, actually.
No, it's just for discussion.
Yeah, just for discussion.
To my knowledge,
However, she's not here. So,
yeah, to my knowledge, they've done just trail cleanup, meaning
And I
anybody,
think,
anybody
you know-
could go back there and pick up.
and I really felt like
they've
that's
done a lot.
what they were asking, but we just felt like, as a board, that we didn't want to give them permission to do it without making sure that it was
Sure.
okay.
As far as I know, they haven't cut any limbs or anything like that, but they have, she did call me and say that they spent Saturday before last, I believe, picking up the trails, making sure that it was obstructions and things were out of there, and she said that they look great. She said it's, as long as she's been riding there, it just looks beautiful now, so.
And I think we were all pretty much in agreement that we would certainly not mind that kind of help at all, as long as the city was fine with it.
Absolutely. As far as just an update on Liberty and Guthrie Lakes, Liberty Lake has grown in its patronage exponentially. Really, we weren't prepared for this type of just extreme growth, which I did expect there to be growth, but not to this degree. And what that means is a typical Saturday is going to look like at least 250 to 300 people during the entire time, just in the park area itself, not spread around the lake, but just in the small park area itself. And what that looks like is about 70 automobiles, a sold-out campground, and almost like a very busy convenience store parking lot. There are 2 or 3 rows of vehicles parked over by the boat ramp, and about 15 to 20 watercraft total. And so a lot of those are going to be jet skis and some other boats. And the entire shoreline from the boat ramp south to where the campgrounds begin has people lined across it, except for one small cove with just nothing but rock. So nobody else obviously swim in there. But it's become a spot. Now, we thought that this growth, since it's been continuing, actually increasing, we'd thought, well, it's because Arcadia Lake had flooded and was closed. However, since Arcadia Lake has been open, the numbers at Guthrie Lake have steadily increased. So to the point where it's now, we had a kind of an emergency meeting, I would say, the other day with the city manager, and one of the plans was to remodel. We had looked at several different things that we needed to do to provide facilities out there. One thing is that we're going to have that much. We need to do a couple of things. We've already cut the trail for an expansion on campground, which allow us to maybe do some different things with the existing campground. Maybe we can cut out some of those spots, make some more day use area, and then we can move our campgrounds. That we're looking into. However, what's needed directly now is that our portable restroom situation is and trash area is just out of control. We can't control that amount of people. And when I say 300, that's just not 300 people for the day. There's a steady turnover of people as they come during the day. So the total amount I'm not able to speculate on. It's just when I go out there, I'll take photos, I'll count, and that's what we've been having. What the plan that was agreed upon was that we'd look at remodeling the house, actually putting an attendant out there, and it'll have updated bathroom facilities compliant with handicap restrictions and everything that needs to happen, showers, bathrooms, and everything that will be already there. There'll be a Lake Patrol office and then possible retail expansion in that house as well. There's quite a bit that can be done with that particular house and its location, and it would be very, very nice. Some fencing, some permanent fencing, and some aesthetic fencing has been talked about that will help to make physical limitations that help to bring order to the park itself. If I can't get past this area, I can't go down and park on the beach if there's a nice aesthetic fence in my way with 3-foot gaps to allow people to go in and out, but I just can't get my vehicle down there. And that's one of the issues, is if I drive out of the park, somebody can pull their vehicle right back down, park it right in the middle of the beach, and turn on their stereo, which not everybody likes maybe that particular music. So, so at any rate, with that said, it's been very good. There's been a lot of overcrowding. We've seen a lot of people try to go to Guthrie Lake and swim, and having to say, hey, this is not something that is allowed at this time. So it was discussed that, again, what we had talked about, I think maybe meeting before last, about opening up around Mitchell Point for swimming, just around that area, and the campsites. And of course, anybody who has their house that backs up, of course, that would be allowed swimming in there too. So that, of course, would be brought to you, I believe, probably next meeting. Again, this meeting just occurred this last week.
Yeah, we just
a few days ago. And I believe that's the lion's share of everything that was talked about. There is some signage, there's some that needs to be done, which we had discussed also beforehand, and some movement of the honor boxes, and just some small general improvements, possibly another honor box at Guthrie Lake, things that would make it easier for patronage around that area. But I'd be willing, if there's any questions that you guys have about that. I know I've kind of said quite a bit. So.
One question I have when discussing, remodeling the home, the house I'm just curious as to who is involved in the design or remodel, or who makes those decisions.
Sure. Oh, you mean now the aesthetic appearance, the
Yeah, I'm talking
outward
about the
appearance?
aesthetics of
Yes.
paint,
colors and
windows,
stuff.
all the things, and how they're cohesive with the park. Who makes those decisions?
That might be outside of my knowledge of area. Now, as far as
I-
the interior, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think that probably once we got a design of how we wanted to remodel it, then they would probably bring the colors and things and show the sketches and all to the board here.
Oh, okay.
I would think.
Yes.
That's,
Because
Well,
we
this is
would-
sort
that's
of
my,
new territory for us.
Yeah,
because I don't
it
think we've
is.
had a remodel or, anything since I've been on the board, and was just curious.
well, that's how I visualize it happening.
Yeah, because we had discussed, the signage out there, trying to create a sort of a cohesive,
Right.
rustic sort of,
Uh-huh.
look, and just wondering with new signage and a new building and the appearance, and
And of course, we discussed that in the meeting as all that being, I'd say linear, meaning that it's the same signs, the same colors and that kind of thing, so we don't have a hodgepodge. Things
Right.
will definitely,
We want it to look good.
definitely want to look good, so that I imagine that final package, Maxine is definitely heavily involved in this because a lot of her departments have something to do with this particular project, so I'm sure she could bring that in, or I could present that. I was mainly concerned when we're researching different alternatives. I was mainly concerned with putting together what the cost would be on those alternatives, and then what the interior would look like as far as the house was concerned. I know aesthetics was, I presume, would be up to the board, since you guys are making those decisions. So I didn't really concern myself with the outside, but essentially was the layout on the inside. Would it work? Do we have enough room? The septic system, is it large enough to handle what we have? Do we have to, those kind of things. So there's quite a bit of study that needs to be done, but that appears to be the way that we can get the most for the least. So, and it definitely, it definitely covers all of our needs at this point.
sounds good. Any more questions for Officer Gibbs?
And as far as the plan, again, I know there was quite a bit of concern. I would have been researching some ways that we could get the word out, because we definitely like to hear from Guthrie Lake homeowners as well as to what their feelings would be on that, as far as opening up swimming around in that area. What I envision is that because of the Liberty Lake size, and it's become quite a bit of a sport lake, there's a lot of people out there who are skiing and tubing and things. And of course, none of that goes on at Guthrie. The overflow that I've seen there and the families that have come over have been just that. They've been families. They have not been consuming alcohol in any way. They just said, hey, we have some little kiddos. We'd like for them to be able to swim in a place that don't have, cresting waves from watercraft. And that's why they were over in that area swimming. So it would be one of those, I'm sure there would be some growing pains because I know some of those areas around the point are favorite fisherman spot. So we'd have to kind of denote some, and that's always, that's always a tough area. However, like we'd spoken quite a few months ago, a lot of the fishermen like to begin their fishing late. So, and I know that's depending upon what kind of fish you're trying to catch, but at any rate, that's something that I should be bringing to you guys the next meeting that comes up. Hopefully I have something coherent. However, my idea is possibly putting together a page, a Facebook page or something to the like, that adheres to our city's new social media policy that would be open to anybody who would want to like that from Guthrie Lake and Liberty Lake. And then once something's put on there, it would notify them via Facebook that, say, for instance, there's a Parks Board meeting that's going to discuss swimming at Guthrie Lake. And then we could hear from different people on both sides of the issue. But that's kind of an idea that I have for getting out.
I did feel like that when we discussed it, we were pretty much wanting to limit it, like you
Yes.
said, to one area, not
That makes sense.
lake-wide.
Absolutely. So yeah, that point, and by that limit, if it's around Mitchell Point, that's a fairly small area. There's a park right in the center of it. There's place to parking. That can be a one-way in and out. There's quite a few things that would make that good. The camping area, which is just on the west side of that, basically south from, that's about 150 yards. And then anybody who owns that backs up, and that's all pretty much on the east side of the lake. And that would be a very small amount of traffic, I suppose. Somebody having grandkids over or children over and that kind of thing could swim. But, so those are some pretty small areas. Of course, nobody on we've talked about the fact that really nobody can be on the dam itself. And of course, you wouldn't want to swim on that with the rock. It'd be difficult. And many other places as well, so. But yeah, that's definitely limited. However, again, up to you guys to decide what that, how constricted that scope needs to be. But definitely, I think a problem area would be Lakeshore. I think residents don't want people parking in the grass, so they're limited as much as possible, and things. So definitely listening to what you guys have to say and trying to put that together for you for next meeting.
With the increase of all the, at Liberty Lake, how has it been as far as, debris, cans, trash? Has it did it double?
Yeah, well, Verdell Smith, who's he leads our parks and department, he's been excellent in responding to, and Maxine, again, his supervisor, they've been excellent in responding to that because we have cans that are out there. They've just dumped them more frequently. And then what happens if they've spilled over, if the wind's got it, then it just takes more time for their guys to go out, and they do it by hand if it comes out. There's a large dumpster there that can handle the debris. If it becomes a problem, they will just schedule for pickup more often on that dumpster. So it's actually gone pretty well. The trash has been really the least of my concern.
That's good to hear.
So they've done a good job in responding to that, and really his department has been exemplary in what they've done out there. So I've been very happy with that. My department's the one that's been having to strain because of so many issues that crop up out there. The guys on the shifts are doing awesome. So they're just all having to learn, have a crash course in lake patrol stuff. So everybody has become a pseudo lake patrol officer to some degree, at any rate. But thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to action items, and we have one action item, and it's discussion and consideration of allowing duck hunting for the fiscal year 2014. We might need Officer Gibbs back up here for this. we're going to vote on allowing duck hunting for 2014. And as I remember, the last time we discussed this, you did say that there weren't an awful lot of issues. We had, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we change a couple of things after the initial?
We did. There were
Yeah.
sort of some growing pains with the rules, and so that was done. The like I said, we didn't have a whole lot of problems with the duck hunters, so things went pretty well as far as that goes. So there wasn't a huge amount of problem. I'd be interested to see. I know some larger campgrounds have year-round camping, so I'd be interested to see. Of course, our remodel won't be done for some time through in the winter, so I'd like to see kind of how we may have an issue, maybe not this season, but definitely next season with camping and trying to curtail camping while the hunters are out there, especially again with this new area that we opened. So that might have something that we address for our next duck hunting season, so to speak. Not this one coming, the one after.
But you had no problem with it if it's voted in again?
True. Well, in fact, whatever you guys choose.
Well, but it didn't create any great,
Just an issue with enforcement. We have, it's tough to cover all that, but like I said, it's something that we adjust to and go with. So that's what we're here for, is to make those kind of changes. There's, I think in my opinion, it's probably, although I know it's been I'm going to step out on a limb here, just in everybody I've talked to, it's something that's been so a family tradition in the past out at that lake. And that's who we heard from as far as in order making those
Right.
changes.
Right.
Because people would say, hey, this is not what it used to be for us. And we made those changes because we could accommodate them. It's just, I know that we are, again, my opinion, I believe we're growing to a point to where we're not going to be able to do that eventually.
And I think that we discussed even at the time that it really, long-term, it didn't really fit in with the master plan.
I mean, this year, it's probably going to be, there's not going to be much issue, it's pretty much like last year, I would imagine. If we go ahead and do that, it's just something that we will make accommodations for and patrol, and we should be okay. The year following, it may actually hit that point where we're going to have to make a decision on whether or not to allow it. So this year may be one that you guys choose to be the last. I just don't know. As far as the camping, I think is going, and the horseback riding again, since that's becoming such a large and populated sport on both terms, where our campsites generally sell out even, and when I told you about the numbers, those were non-holiday weekends. We generally sell out all of our campsites, which there are 21, and they'll all sell out each weekend. By Saturday afternoon, they're gone. Friday afternoon, 80% or so. Saturday afternoon, they're pretty much all gone at that point.
Refresh my memory, what is a campsite rent for?
We're very, very low right now. It's $4 for a non-electric site, $6 for the one electric site. However, the difference to that is that most other places will charge approximately $20 for a non-electric campsite. And again, you fluctuate with times in the season and where that campsite's located, premium sites as opposed to non-premium sites, so on. But $20 is about an average. The reason, and again, we didn't want to raise any fees at the times that we redid our rules. It was something that was very important to Mr. Mueller at the time. What augments that a little bit is when you buy a campsite, it is you're supposed to be buying your day use permits as well, meaning that if, say, myself, my wife, and our kiddos went out there, every kiddo who is 16 or older is supposed to have a day use permit. So if it's my wife and I and say a 16-year-old, then we would be paying $6 a day plus say $4 for a non-electric campsite. So it cost us $10 a day to campsite. So we are still, I would say, one of the lowest price is for camping, so it's an extreme value. That's something that I think the city manager may look at in changing once the facilities change, because it'll be a full-service campground,
Right.
yeah, just like any other.
Do you think maybe that's why you're seeing even after Arcadia opened back up? Because it's cheaper to come to Liberty?
Could be, and with that, well, now with that fee increase, let me be very clear on this. We would not change the day use rate, from my understanding. We wouldn't even look at doing that. We're pretty comparable with that $2 per day. Say, for instance, you're going to go to Arcadia, and it was, we all were going to get in a car and go. If we could all fit in that vehicle, then it would be $7. And so, let's say a family came to the lake here, and there were 3 adults and, say, 2 children, then they would be getting in for $6. So again, we're pretty comparable
Yeah.
as far as that. Now, our campsites are what are not. If we raise that, what we will do is make a small, or attempt is to try to get approval from you guys to change that. And if you bought your camping, it would cover your day use for up to 6 adults. So again, it wouldn't necessarily be a fee increase. It would just make things more efficient, because most people, when you go to a campsite and you pay for your camping permit, your day use is included. Ours, the way that our rules were written a long time ago, just don't follow that vein. And so when Mr. Mueller had us look at this and redo this, then it was something we couldn't redo at the time. So now it's again, when we make this change, so it may be perceived as an increase, but it really won't, because all it is handling their day use for up to 6 adults, which is the 6 people is the maximum you can have per campsite, 6 people and 3 cars. So again, I don't mean to get into the boring, little points of it, but really, when I say an increase, it really won't be. It's actually just something to bring us up to par with most other campsites, so that it's not confusing. You pull down there, you're like, I need a day use for every day I'm here plus $4, and people say, oh gosh, that doesn't make sense, just because it's not done that way at most other campsites.
And Officer Gibbs, aren't you kind of saying that it might not affect duck hunting this year, but that's one of the reasons we put it on a year-to-year basis, that you could look at it each year and decide if it's the thing we need to do this year?
Sure.
Or maybe the duck hunters on their own will decide it's gotten
Yeah.
too busy and they don't want to go there.
Yeah, back to the duck hunting. It's interesting. Some of the people that we have coming out are current, and please forgive my ignorance on this point, but they're current wakeboarding, what do you call it? Championship contenders, essentially. They're professional wakeboarders, and they come out to Liberty Lake because they like it. There are approximately 5 that I know of that bring these very specialized high-dollar boats, and they bring out for wakeboarding, for the purposes of wakeboarding, and they generally like to come out during the week, and they will continue to come out unless the lake's frozen over, which is interesting. So they continue. I think one of the problems last year was I had to, they were gone by the time I got there, but it sounded like it was, again, somebody coming out to practice. They had no idea that the lake was closed for duck hunting, I believe, at that time. But that's one of the things that's occurring. Our season goes so much longer with this amount of people, because you have the diehards, those who you want to milk every ounce out of it, and that may lead right up to duck hunting time. So this year we may have some growing pains that we have to deal with around the fringes of duck hunting. All biases and anything else aside, it's probably going to work. We can probably make it work this year. My main concern would be next season, once that the camping is.
Well, we need a year to prepare to tell them no.
Exactly. So, and I know what that does to some of the people in the community, because this has been a tradition, and so by no means am I unsympathetic. It's just that looking at what the master plan is and what we're growing towards, just looking at it, and once it was finalized, I said, man, this is just going to be something that we're eventually going to phase out. It's going to be just because of the way that the park is going and the size of the park. We just don't have a way to say, hey, this is our duck hunting area over here, and then this is our, I think it just doesn't work very well. But
Thank you, sir.
yes, sir.
So do I have a motion?
Well, are we going to vote on it now, or are we going to kind of table it and vote on it next time, think about it, or
No,
should we
we're-
vote on it now?
We're voting on it now.
Okay.
You almost have to, so that
Get
they
it
can
in time,
prepare.
so they know.
Yes.
Okay.
So I need a motion. And if I don't get a motion, then it doesn't,
I think
It does.
or we can have a motion to not approve. This is when I like being chairman, because I don't get to make the motion.
I don't want to make a motion to do it.
Do I have a motion?
Just making a motion doesn't mean that we're for it or against
No,
it.
it does not.
Just
It only
means
means that we're
it's
going to vote on it.
And so then we vote, I don't know.
I will make a motion to approve duck hunting for the financial year 2014.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it,
Okay.
so we can vote.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
May I, but this is just for the year
That is
2014?
correct. It is
We
for
will
the
not
fiscal
go
year
any further.
2014.
I will vote yes.
All, how do I say that?
All opposed.
All opposed? Are you going to abstain? You can abstain, can't you?
She can do anything she wants.
They're not present, isn't there, with the big wigs in Washington? They're just not there. So then you don't have to vote, so nobody gets mad at
As
us.
I remember, you voted against the first time. You can vote against it this time.
Well, it didn't,
Sure you can.
well, it didn't cause any trouble,
won't
apparently, and
hurt
we're not
anything.
going to do it forever. So we'll give them one more chance, so they won't hate us so bad. The mayor's over there holding his head. Did you want us not to?
He's glad he's out there. Okay.
So
Do I need a, I need a aye or a nay, or I have no nay?
When you abstain, it is.
I abstain.
We have an abstain.
can it pass on 3 votes?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
that's the quorum. Yeah, so the motion passes. Barely. Item 5 is announcement from staff.
You did good.
Pardon me?
You did good. That's a difficult one.
Do you have anything for us, Maxine, that you have not shared with us
I think I
yet?
shared with everything that I had.
All righty. Requests and comments from members of the board? Anyone? I only have one. Isn't that good? That's good for me. And Blue isn't here, and maybe Maxine can ask him, but, this gets back to the water level, I guess, at Mineral Wells Park. At one point, we discussed the point that, I had heard through the grapevine that there used to be a well in Mineral Wells Park about,
It's not a functioning well.
it's not a functioning well,
If we put a well there, we would have to,
because they capped it off, right? Did Blue talk to you about it? It's just west of that pump house, that sandstone pump house out there in the field, and I've even forgot the guy whose name that said it was there.
probably Tommy Bross, but I
No.
don't, no, it wasn't Tommy.
I can't remember. I'll
'Cause I
have to
know-
ask my dad. Someone told my dad that there was a well there, and then it got capped off, and it was about 20 feet, 25, 30 feet west of that sandstone pump house, just
Before I
right
say
there.
anything, I would like to, we would almost have to go back to what we had started to do a year ago. And I'd have to pull that information, and Bill Myers had done some studies for us.
Well, but that was my, it was my
Because you
understanding
can't, you can't just put water into that.
that, oh, you can't just put
No,
well
you
water
just
into
can't
it.
put water into, you've got too many regulatory agencies that,
I see.
that are concerned. So right now, there's really nothing we can do right now. What happened, we had that, was pretty full, and you know that intake, that outflow thing that sits there?
Yeah.
It broke, and all our water was going down that thing, so they had to get in there and fix that.
Oh, so we were
And
losing.
we're, right now, it's
Seems
stable.
to be holding.
Right, but you're gonna evaporate, the water's going to evaporate some anyway, because, it's.
And do you know why why you can't put well water in that? water?
Well, I'm not gonna stick my neck in, so you can put it in there, but, I'll get you the information.
Okay,
That.
because it would just be so nice if
Because
somehow we could keep.
this was discussed at length at.
It was, but then the discovery of this well, and I don't have my notes with me, or at least the proposed discovery of this well that was very near the pavilion, not that far from the pond. If there was a well there, and I'll get the names, I'll call you, so you can
Okay.
do some research on it. I can't remember the guy's name, and Blue was going to check. Blue was going to check.
Blue's been very,
I know,
very
it
busy.
Sounds like it.
Oh my gosh,
Very
you'll be
busy.
busy through
All
September.
right, I have no more comments
Yes.
or requests, we're adjourned.
Okay.
I don't have to ask a motion for that, do I, Maxine?
No, you don't.
We're adjourned. Thank
So
you,
what-
everybody.